I'm Isyander.
And I'm Koda.
And today we have the first episode ever that has been improved by a cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, genuinely. It's made it way better.
Though the congestion is still there, unfortunately.
Just a little bit, so you'll be hearing that. I have brought the appropriate mug for the occasion, my Ultra mug. And today we are going to be discussing the Plague Wars.
The Plague Wars.
It's going to be very fun. I have all the perspective needed.
That's disgusting. I don't know if it's going to make it in.
I have all the perspective I needed for this episode. We're going to do it in two sections because there's so much.
Fortunately, our skin was not sloughing off, and random tentacles were not forming on our bodies, and we didn't suddenly develop a hive in our chests. So that's always a good day. It was just congestion and really strong headaches.
Yeah, we'll get to the sloughing later. There will be quite a bit of that, but today we're going to do it in two sections because the Plague Wars are massive. It's a lot. It is 3 books dedicated to it, and then it's mentioned throughout several codices.
It's not one plague war; it's the Plague Wars.
This is a little bit of Imperial. It was like a one-war situation.
Oh, I see.
The
there's
Imperium,
some Imperial revisionism happening here.
You got to make things sound more grand than they are. But I mean, this was really, 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 really grand. So because of the sheer scale of the Plague Wars, we're going to do this in 2 sections. For those of you that already know all the major players, you can skip to section 2 because that's when we're actually gonna get into the meat of the Plague Wars.
Yes.
But because there are so many people involved,
we have to give context on each and every individual one.
This is the middle ground because I know there's people out there like when we did the ball episode where it's like you don't need to explain who Dante is, and I'm like, and that's cool. The best Dante out there. Fight me.
But
not
what
everyone
if somebody's
does.
new here?
Yeah, exactly. And so I like to keep these things light, breezy. Plus, also, frankly, you may have forgotten there's a lot of proper nouns in 40k. There's a lot of things to know about. So both sections are going to be really, really good. That's how we're going to do it. And we are going to start with the main players, of which there are a lot of them. And some of them are important in a way that only matters off screen. So we will talk about them, but you may not see their full impacts in more than just like a sentence or 2.
Okay.
But that's cool. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very fun. Also, we have a Patreon. It's great. You get bonus episodes every single week, access to community days. This month, we're going to be doing, I think, a stream every single week.
That we are.
So if you want to check that out, that's also going to be very, very good. There's going to be some of the stuff that we discuss here, because we did run through every single plague that Nurgle's made, save for God Blight, which will be relevant this episode. So if you want that episode, you can find it there, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Access to the Discord. Y'all already know. It's perks on perks on perks on perks. So you can head on over there, and it's going to be very, very fun. Now let's look at the fight card.
The fight card.
The fight card, yes.
Is this literally just going to be like a tournament bracket we're looking at, or...
No, it's not a tournament. It's just kind of like this side and this side,
Okay. So we're looking at the Wikipedia belligerents list.
Not the full list. Yeah. But in this corner, weighing in at an amount so high TLC would put them on national television, we have a group I will affectionately call the Sweat Squad.
I don't like that.
The Sweat Squad, yeah.
Oh, these guys have that disease we talked about.
No.
Never mind.
These are just the people who are spearheading Nurgle's forces. And he has chosen 3.
3?
Yes, who have the market cornered on weeping sores and lungs that have insects in them. Yeah. Ugh, right? Yeah.
Don't like where we're going here.
No, well, you're going to like the first one, Well, you know him. You tolerate him. It's Mortarion, the Pale King. He is relatable for you, I'm sure.
Listen, I've been trying to go outside, but it's also still spring, so the sun's not out.
I was joking because of lighting.
And frankly, I don't have enough guns to be out when the sun's out, so I keep a hoodie on. We're changing that, though.
Yes, you are. Mortarion is stupendously strong. He is decently fast. Not fast by Primarch standards, but fast by everything else standards, He is one of the Emperor's 20-ish sons, so, he has had a lot of power conferred onto him. So much so, he likes to pretend he doesn't. A little bit of a hypocrite.
I see.
A lot of a hypocrite.
Yeah.
He
grew up having feelings and thoughts about the warp, and didn't realize he was a psyker until somebody told him that's really bad, and he went, "Oh, that is really bad." And then he told all the other psykers to get in the ground.
More like he was tormented by his adoptive father was a very strong psyker.
Ah.
And imagine if instead of Dad coming home with a bottle in hand, he could cast Fireball at you.
That'd be bad.
You see why Mortarion's the way he is?
Mm-hmm.
He has strong opinions on Psychers and hates Psychers.
Yeah.
But also, critically,
Is a Psyker.
not just a Psyker.
Is a very strong Psyker.
Very, very strong. Like,
Yeah.
if Mortarion embraced what he is, I don't think he'd be as strong as Magnus, but I think he'd be up there.
Maybe like a solid number 2 to Magnus is definite number 1.
To give you a sense of scale here, Mortarion, passively, this is not a major effort for him. Passively, while Guilliman is attempting to make it to the Plague Wars, you'll see how all this factors in later, is attempting to waylay him in the warp by constantly buffeting his entire fleet the entire time. And this is a side thing that he just has passively running in the background, like, oh, yeah, I should probably get groceries.
I mean, we've seen Psychers when they're a main thing crack the sky open.
He's so strong.
Yeah, their side things are still going to be like, oh, that guy's fleet just disappeared.
Mortarion's so strong. And he also has, like, one of the, I maintain this to this day, one of the prettiest models you can buy.
Which,
it's so cool.
Again, it's so cool to me that the canon of which was changed based off of one individual's painting of it.
It's very good. Those wings give you a lot of room to have fun.
Yeah.
The Plague Wars are also a great source for Mortarion art. Like, because of this, we have, I think, all of the hard pieces of art for him. This is it.
Yeah.
This is where they all come from, pretty much, save for like 1 or 2.
You're going to see me struggle in the editing bay to like kind of drip feed them out so I don't run out of them.
Listen, they're all gas. They're for all the misgivings that Death Guard fans may have about how he was characterized in this, and you'll see it a little bit. Nobody's going to debate the visual direction. The description, it's very good.
Yep.
It is very, very good. He is here, not only because Nurgle commanded him, but because he hates Guilliman. he hates Guilliman.
He's not even a Psyker. Why does he hate him so much?
I think, was it Alfarius who put it best when he was like, Guilliman thinks he has mastered war and he just wants you to copy his notes.
He codified it. He wrote it down. It's in a checklist. Just follow this
Guilliman
list.
can be a little unlikable.
I see.
He's a great statesman. He's very competent.
But he's not my way or the highway. He's very, my way is the only way. Why the hell would you write something else? Are you stupid?
A little bit. And also, he is sponsored by Chaos. So obviously
he's going to hate any loyalist.
And not just any Chaos God, but the Chaos God of rot and despair. And so you look at Ultramar, the realm that has invested in mops and disinfectant. And, well, obviously the man who sees the word shower as a slur is going to be upset about this,
Hey, you used to play League of Legends too.
Fair. I can't chat. Yeah, he has very many reasons to hate Ultramar. Least of all is that. And as you can imagine, getting Ultramar is a hell of a jewel in any of the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, because it's like a mini Imperium inside the Imperium.
It has a functional K through 12 system, taxes that go towards actually mending roads, healthcare that works.
Arguably, it's a better mini Imperium inside the Imperium.
I don't think it's arguable. Being born in Ultramar is, I think, the best you can get it as a general Imperial goon. Being just like a rich planetary overlord, that's great. Planetary governor, that's great. That's the high stuff.
But I feel like it's
if you want to roll the dice somewhere, roll them in Ultramar.
Yeah,
roll them in Ultramar.
It's the difference from being in like, I don't know, the States in the modern era or maybe even the 1800s to like the middle of feudal Europe in like the Dark Ages, where you could just be a peasant at the bottom of the fiefdom.
And that's it, Also on top of all of that super duper great functionality that we have in Ultramar, it is also the home of conservatively 66% of all Space Marines. Because an absurd number of Space Marines in existence today are related to Guilliman in some way, shape, or form. So, for every reason you could imagine, Chaos wants this so badly. And that number fluctuates here and there. So we will talk about that too as we go. Nurgle other than being one of the big four, other than wanting to see the Imperium's continual just spiral and sinking downwards into...
Because who among us, which Chaos God doesn't want to see the Imperium spiral?
Well, the Imperium's current variation of spiraling pleases Nurgle quite greatly, because they are... it is things failing over time, decaying. There's real despair in several hive worlds.
I would definitely call the current state of the Imperium decay.
Yes, yeah. I mean, for goodness sake, they worship a corpse on a throne.
Yeah. Like, that is actively decaying. And the throne itself is also actively decaying.
But he's not just the god of Ick, he's also the god of kindness in a very weird way. He likes you. He likes you exactly as you are. It is true unconditional love. So don't shower, shave, don't brush your teeth, don't floss, and don't wipe. Like that is the level of love he has for you.
I will return in 3 days. Don't wash.
Yeah, it's like Napoleon and Josephine. Yeah. I almost said Jos.
Josephine.
So
what do you get when a child is unloved? Da 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 da.
So that is the main sponsor for this entire war.
Red Bull Racing?
No, Nurgle.
Damn.
Not Red Bull Racing. On top of sending one of his demon Primarchs forward, he also sends one of his demon Primarch's sons, Typhus, who, you may be wondering, why is one Space Marine joining this really, really important? It's just like a single Space Marine. We have Mortarion.
This is a big Space Marine, though.
He is... First of all, a very important part of Team No Wipers. Let's just start there. He's a very important part of this. He is a living hive of insects as big as your arm, so that's already unpleasant. And he has a large rusty barge in space with the single most kills under its belt.
Is this rusty like actual oxidized iron, or is this rusty in the Urban Dictionary definition?
His ship has eczema, dude.
So it's a little of both.
Like... his ship doesn't floss. The Terminus Est is gross. It is so gross.
Yeah, it gurgles through space.
And under his command... Okay, look, Karn has stacked enough bodies that Khorne has noticed, and that's a big deal. But Typhus just passively gets kills through disease. And kind of cheating, kind of stat padding here, but this is the Plague Wars, like... That's the main form of assault we're going to be dealing with here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to count it for this. He is very, very important. Is he the most important of Nurgle's kids? No. Does he, however, spread a lot of pestilence everywhere he goes? Yes.
We'd call it, maybe he's not the most important, but he could be qualified as one of the most devout.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? You hit the nail on the head. Perfect. I couldn't describe it better. He is up there as one of Nurgle's most devout followers. His actual favorite is also joining the Sweat Squad in Kugath, who you have no idea who he is.
I don't have any idea.
See?
Yeah.
He is one of, if not Nurgle's actual favorite kid. And he is very insecure about this position.
So this character is just a sentient dingleberry.
Honestly, in his early life, kinda, he was just kind of like a little nurgling on Nurgle's shoulder, and he used to like entertain the big guy by doing a little dance and all that. And because this is Nurgle, he's actually quite jolly a lot of the time. It's really cute if you ignore the weeping sores.
I mean, we've gone over this. He kind of is like a happy grandpappy. Like,
well, my grandpa had a lot more chins.
Isn't his like actual title like Grandfather Nurgle? Yeah,
Papa Nurgle, Grandfather Nurgle. They call him all kinds of things.
Papa Nurg.
Yeah. And so Kugath, back when he was like a tiny little thing, was just like a nurgling on his shoulder, just doing a little dance.
He actually was a sentient dingleberry.
Yeah, until one day, while Nurgle was creating one of his greatest plagues, in that big cauldron he's always pictured it, always stirring it, Kugath slipped off.
This is that thing?
This is that thing. And it fell into the pot and drank it all. And that was Nurgle's greatest work. And Kugath feels really bad about this. He feels so bad about this.
But Nurgle couldn't be happier with the results, I assume.
Honestly, Nurgle still likes him.
Yeah.
And so this is purely... every time it's depicted, it seems very much so like an internal thing. Like, all the other great unclean ones tend to be quite jolly. Like, they whistle a little tune while they're doing their
always...
thing.
I've seen their model. I've seen their art. They always seem to have a smile on their face.
This is a morose one. He's a little sad. He puts on the whole song and dance, don't get me wrong, but He's real insecure about all this. And so it is always depicted as being something in his head because he is still Nurgle's favorite. And for all he knows, maybe the plague wasn't Nurgle's greatest work. Maybe it was Kugath himself. From a certain
Maybe this was all part of the plan.
Maybe, but Kugath will never see it that way. He wants to make a plague of equal virulence, I think would be the word for that.
He wants to make something of himself and make Grandpappy proud.
Yeah, he wants to refill that cauldron on Nurgle's behalf because he feels really guilty that he did it. And so for a lot of his immortal demonic life, you will see him. He actually has a very fun way of being on the battlefield where instead of like the typical, a great unclean one, like kind of like schmoovin' through a battlefield, he arrives on this massive palanquin with a bunch of Nurglings straining to carry him as he's like overlooking the battlefield and like taking notes on the various diseases, throwing some more in, if he sees something particularly foul happening, he'll like capture it and take it home. And he has this really fun relationship with cultists who worship him because if you summon Kugath, you stopped him from stirring the pot.
Oh, so he's upset.
You have to give him a warning before you summon him.
Yeah.
And so many a time, someone summoned him and found an angry great unclean one arriving.
You are not what I expected. I expected some form of jolly, disgusting festival.
Yep. And
like I was expecting like a clown show with skid marks. What is this? Why are you angry?
There's still skid marks. It's just not a clown show.
Yeah.
It's just really not a clown show. But yeah, that rounds it out for our entire Chaos contingent.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and those numbers sound really low. It's just 3 big guys, right? I mean, they're all actually pretty big too. Like Mortarion's huge, Kugath is huge, Typhus is huge. Like he's the smallest one there. He's still huge. You know? He's a living nest. But as you will see when we go into this, it doesn't matter. This is ample force for Ultramar.
Yeah.
It could even be debated that it's overkill. Because on the other side, heading up our Imperial forces, and a really strong Jesus allegory for a lot of this time period.
Roboute! Guilliman!
Yes. He is so divine, it hurts in this. I'm an Ultramarine fan. I really am an Ultramarine fan.
Yeah.
There are moments where I'm like, whoa, get this.
Okay, let's calm down.
Yeah, he is so divine. But they play it very well because Guilliman's the kind of guy who wakes up to Excel and coffee in the morning. I don't want to be a god. Don't call me a god. We have paperwork to do. What are we doing? God won't save us. We will.
Budget
Get to work.
To balance.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, and that's the entire Imperial army.
Just Guilliman.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But it might as well be. It really might as well be.
I was gonna say we have so many like main character Ultramarines. It can't be just Guilliman.
Fun fact: as far as main character Ultramarines who are going to be really relevant, it's going to be just him.
Really?
And Calgar.
I was gonna say no Calgar, no Kato. I would even take.
If we look at the story of the Plague War itself, yeah, Kato's really relevant. But if we look at the war,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
There's just so much happening on both sides. You'll see what I mean as we get into it.
Okay. Are they just like somewhere else in the galaxy, or do they just like?
No, they're just somewhere else in Ultramar.
Oh.
All of Ultramar is going to be attacked. Spoilers.
I see. We're just going to kind of like zoom in on one.
We're going to zoom in on the main thing that wins the Plague Wars in this situation. But also back in Guilliman, because you cannot have the son without the father, we actually have Big E.
Oh, cool.
He's possibly the most relevant he's ever been in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is not just the typical background GPS signal we have, or corpse howling into the abyss, or pyre upon which we burn psychos, but he acts a lot like a unified minor, maybe even major deity. Like this.
Oh, I remember this moment. I know what happens.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it.
No?
Oh, you'll see.
Okay.
Oh, you'll see. And then next up is the only Space Marine who can run Crisis if it's the identity variant, Calgar. Yep. And he, for the most part, is the guy keeping all of Ultramar together before Guilliman gets here. He is Chapter Master of the Ultramarines. He has the biggest hands. Like
he has very large hands. Yeah.
He,
I think like robot hands, like that big. Like
he's mostly.
He's got gorilla arms.
Honestly, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also fire bullets. He is chapter master of the Ultramarines, which means...
If only you could get the gorilla arms as well as that one, like, rocket arm mount. Because I'm not going to lie. Yeah, mods. Because I'm not going to lie, the rocket arms one is kind of like, it feels like a sub thing. It feels like it shouldn't be the main thing. Like, I'd rather have the mantis blades or even the laser whip over that. I can't remember what it's... The... Monowire, I think it's what it's called.
No. I'm so sad that it's ending on Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
Because it kind of felt like they were hitting their stride, but also maybe
considering
the engine's cooked.
Yeah, I was gonna say considering how the game released, the engine might be cooked.
So just give me a sequel.
Yeah.
But yes. So
also, Monowire is the best one you could get. The crit rate is, unless they've patched it since I played the game, is one of the best in the game, and so you can get some insane damage over the gorilla arms and the mantis blades. Fun fact.
Yeah. He is chapter master of the Ultramarines, meaning in a room full of very, very competent people, he is also very, very competent. The most competent, even. And he has held them together against everything that Chaos and others have thrown at them, while also staying fully Codex compliant. There is no cheating here.
That sounds like a task.
It is actually the number he should have. Now, technically speaking... you'll see later. But he has managed to do this while following the letter of the law. Maybe not the spirit, but the letter of the law. Recently, Guilliman...
Listen, I'm sorry, officer. It was a crusade.
No, not even that level of technicality.
Oh, really?
No, like, fully, if you look at the letter of the law, he is following it and not abusing any one thing.
At all?
At all. Not at all.
Okay.
Recently, Dad has woken up, and that has thrown him for a little bit of a loop. Because... Guilliman's really competent. And then on top of that, it's not just Guilliman arriving, and he's arriving to you being besieged. That's already terrible.
Yeah.
It's already terrible. And also, him arriving to you fighting the people trying to save his life. Also just a terrible look on every single level.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you trying to do? Keep me dead?
He has plenty of reasons to feel some type of way. On top of that, when Guilliman does make the loop-de-loop back around, he comes back with Primaris Marines, which are an actual physical improvement to your very being that just you cannot take a part of.
Make me feel insignificant, why don't you?
Yeah. So on top of feeling inadequate because he feels like he's doing a bad job and Dad does a job better, Dad arrives with Space Marines, the sequel, and you can't be upgraded to it. He's going through it.
Yeah.
He's
having a time. He's Shinji in a chair right now.
Well, before the Plague Wars, yes. He decided to go through violent surgery about it. As you remember what Primaris surgery looks like from the Patreon episode we did on Mephiston. I can't describe most of it, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, but he did survive it. He did cross the river and is now a Primaris Marine, and then his little Nokia rings, and he opens it up in Plague War.
I just woke up. The anesthesia hasn't like really worn off yet. I'm still like randomly saying things like David after dentist. That's an ancient video. What do I do about this? Literally, I can't wake up to this. Really? And he's back to Shinji in a chair.
Yep. Also, the timeline for the Plague Wars made sense and then didn't through some retcons, which... So that may not have been exactly what he woke up to, because it keeps changing the timeline. But we'll just say that for now.
Yeah.
Just for expediency's sake. And lastly, on the Imperial side, is Mathieu. Maybe he'll be relevant.
Just Mathieu? No last name? No title? No nothing?
Just Mathieu.
Just Matt.
Just Mathieu.
Look over there. It's Matt.
Yeah, it's Matt. He's just a guy devoutly into worshipping the Emperor of Mankind as a god, and sits behind Guilliman the entire time saying, you know you're a god, right? Like, you know you're a god, and you know your dad's a god at least, right? And that is the entirety of all he does. Maybe he'll be relevant. Maybe he won't be.
I can just imagine this guy just trailing Guilliman. Just like Guilliman picks up a pencil and he's like, oh, holy relic.
Yeah, that is the exact way they work.
Hey, bud, do you want to donate that to the church? Yeah. Hand it over. And, like, Guilliman tries to hand it to him, and it crushes him because it's, like, his torso size.
Yeah. That is the exact... You figured out their entire relationship already, and now the stage is set for the actual Plague Wars. And, like most wars, honestly, it didn't start with a very loud, massive moment, but really...
Usually it's like one tiny inciting event, yeah.
A bunch of tiny innocuous events happening on the very fringes of Ultramar. The kind of stuff that is problematic. But, are we going to deal with this right now? No, not really. And so... in these very fringe worlds, a chaos cult of Nurgle is growing as he yearns to take the clean and pristine realm of Ultramar
and just kind of like
himself.
Smear the walls a little bit.
He wants to do a lot more than smear the walls.
Smear the walls a lot?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Second to taking... well, third to taking Earth and Mars, taking the Macragge, and by extension, the realm of Ultramar, is one of the most devastating blows you could hand the Imperium. It is the gap between Earth, Mars, Macragge, and Ultramar, and then every other planet is
it's kind of significant. It's really significant.
Those are the three big important ones. Least of all because of how well managed this system is, and how kind of terrifying it'll be once Guilliman gets back, you know? So let's deal with
Let's try to like destabilize this before Guilliman gets all the way back to power.
If Guilliman gets into power, Ultramar would be the blueprint upon which the entire Imperium is reworked, which is really bad for chaos.
And then he'd just start stamping out organizational systems for the rest of the Imperiums, like nothing else.
So cults devoted to that good itch are springing left, right, and center. Colds, flus, you name it, they're spreading it, and quite jolly while they're doing it too the entire time.
I'd like to catch the demon that gave us the cold. He's probably happy about it.
Well, yeah, it is whimsical if you really think about it. This leads to a sort of... it's more of a healthcare problem in the very beginning. It's just... we have a lot of new diseases coming in, and they're all coming from the same two directions, but we have a healthcare system. We will deal with this. Until that line opened up in the sky.
Oh, that's bad. God, everything revolves around that big line suddenly opening in the sky.
That line accelerated a lot of things. And across the entire galaxy, everything chaotic gets a huge buff. Everything chaotic gets a huge buff. Over way near the source of the line, in the Cadian sector, if I remember correctly, Typhus is there. Because man puts in work for Nurgle. He puts in that shift every single day. And we have this great description of a very, very difficult war suddenly becoming unwinnable as every single thing that Nurgle has thrown forward in sync becomes much stronger. Every single disease raises in transmissibility and lethality at the same time. People start rising up from the dead. You can definitely see the Terminus Est floating by.
Like people talk about a burble tune on certain cars. Yeah.
Like just
this, but not.
Empty, decrepit ships start floating in from God knows where. Full of plagues. And we just have to deal with that now. The Guard, the Navy, almost across the board, are overwhelmed by just brutal assaults and diseases that are... it feels like everything is in sync in a way that the average Imperial mind is not prepared for, because the average Imperial mind doesn't even know that...
yeah, they don't have a conceptualization of chaos.
Yes. And so...
what do you mean diseases are literally coming out of the fabric of reality? I don't even know what that is.
Social cohesion tanks.
Yeah.
As you can imagine. Social cohesion tanks.
Yep.
It is described way over there in that sector that just seeing the Terminus Est is enough to make people go mad. Just gazing upon it. There is no God. There is none.
To be fair, you've described the Terminus Est to me. If I saw that thing, I'm agreeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what loving God would allow this to happen?
I hate cold with a passion, like specifically the sore throat. But if anything were to give me something described as eye rot, my faith has been shaken.
Yeah.
And especially if the last thing I saw before the eye rot set in was one of his angels descending from the heavens, buzzing with this loud cacophony that I can always hear as a swarm leaves his body. Oh yeah, there is no emperor.
Yeah, no.
There is
absolutely
If he cared, this couldn't happen to me. This just could not happen to me.
Like, listen, the emperor protects. if his protection is this, maybe he's not an emperor.
It's so brutal for the worlds just within his range that even if you aren't directly aware that Typhus is nearby, waves of depression hit planets.
Yep.
And they're not fully sure why. Disease rates skyrocket just by him being nearby. It's so funny. It's because a lot of the diseases that Nurgle throws around aren't like, pass it around via cough, but it's an issue of faith.
Yeah.
It's an issue of faith. And
it's a metaphysical disease.
Yes, yeah.
It can be transmitted, I assume, by like a cough, like an actual viral element. Yeah. But like I don't know, the virus crosses the fourth dimension over into like warp space and then into your soul.
Yep. And so the late stages of these tiers of invasions just look like people in the streets self-flagellating, wailing and moaning about how the end is nigh, which I kind of get it. And as they're doing this in the streets, everyone at home who's stuck caring for those they love can only hear this drone going outside of the end is nigh, the Emperor has abandoned us. As you see people you love and care about go through diseases that no man should survive, let alone sit there gurgling about.
Mm-hmm. And you hear that droning and you go, facts. Facts.
Yep.
I'm seeing it right here.
In hive worlds, the body counts can get so massive that mass graves have to be dug outside the hive. Which, you remember the hive episode? Mm-hmm. The scale that you need to move things outside the hive.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit wild. Yeah.
And that's before the Plague of Unbelief really gets a good grip and those mass graves start moving around and excavating themselves. And now you have hordes of zombies slamming against the walls.
I can't remember what that one demon in Bloodborne's called, but you remember the one that's just made of like a mass of corpses and it's shaped like a two-headed dog or something? Like it's literally like cat dog shaped.
No, this is not ringing any bells when I play Bloodborne.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It was in that weird like madness city, like Mad City area. You remember how you get grabbed by the guys in the bags and then you escaped that one prison and you like open up into this big red city that is just chaos?
I remember that, yeah, but I don't remember that.
There's a big
blocked it out. It's been
really gross. There's like a big flesh demon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I had to figure it's that.
You'll put something up and people will get the visual.
If I can.
In black and white, you will. that is how you get away with it, yeah. And that is what every single world experiences as they're being invaded after this line goes through. Just wave after wave of zombies that you have to kill and then remove from the hive again, or else they'll just get back up as this gas permeates everywhere, making the air burn at best, or at worst contact rusting things.
So just sudden mustard gas plus.
Yeah, and the worst bit about this is it's not just one world within Ultramar that suddenly gets this treatment, or two worlds within it.
It's a good couple.
Almost all of them. It is massive. It is a big incursion. So many worlds. So many worlds are suddenly at risk because remember, the scene I was describing was if Typhus shows up. Kugath is here too.
Oh, so
Mortarion is here too.
And the
Typhus is here too.
I assume these are all multiplicative?
Yeah.
They're not additive, they're multiplicative, so,
This is Nurgle's full back being applied at. Like, I think the only other major demon missing of his is Rotigus, and even he shows up at some point. Because, yeah, they're all named like that.
Yeah, I figured.
They're all named like that. Septicus is here, too.
God, they are all named like that.
Yeah. So this is Nurgle's gargantuan back being put into one system.
This is Nurgle's version of Khorne helping Angron slash a planet in half, I assume.
It feels better than that.
Really?
It feels more. This feels very Nurgle.
Oh yeah, because that was one planet. This is an entire region of space.
Yeah. So in space, you have Typhus rendering almost all of Ultramar's orbital defenses either gone or severely stressed under his assault. You have Mortarion making landfall, which is just so bad.
Not ideal.
For everything involved.
Yep.
And then Kugath himself clearing a path for all of this with hordes of unkillable demons before setting up shop on one of Ultramar's verdant garden worlds. You know, the stuff that feeds people.
Well, now it's a verdant garden.
Well, what
for something else.
Yeah, true. And
it's green with bile now.
It's so much worse than that. It's
Is it?
so much worse. They brought a little bit of Nurgle's cauldron with them.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just for this one planet. Which is where Kugath sets up, and he's just going to go do his own thing for a little bit, and that'll not be relevant, I promise you, at all. Ajax is not an important world for this situation at all.
Cool.
You know? Meanwhile, Mortarion's just applying pressure left, right, and center, and so much buckles. So much buckles.
Because he's a pretty significant heavy force
when
when
you
it comes
think
to...
about this trio showing up, most systems would break.
Yeah.
Somehow not Ultramar, though.
Well, it's set up well. What else could you say?
I'm so glad we finally get to talk about this because they're relevant. They're relevant. This isn't a reach. The Ultramarines are in fact relevant, and their homeworld cannot be taken despite their best efforts, because I think I've told you Ultramar's well run. And I've told you Ultramar's well run. And you know it's well run. And you know they have an education system. And you know that Guilliman's gene seed is effectively like vanilla. It just works.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. Not many people hate it, you know? I need you to understand all of this is facts.
Okay.
Just Ultramar alone, okay? Immediately, before anybody else answers any calls at all, it has 10 chapters of Space Marines just for defending it.
Okay.
That's
significant.
With some who have specific worlds as their ward, like McCragg has a couple of Space Marines who show up. And it's not just like, we made like 10 chapters of Ultramarines just to defend here. 6 out of 10 of them are either Heresy veterans or right after the Heresy veterans.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they have like experienced, trained, well-run, like people defending this.
And then on top of all of that, you have a stupendously high double-digit percentage of Space Marines who are related to Guilliman. Some sources say 66, some sources say 80. What I'm going to say is Guilliman made Primaris Marines. Do you think the number went lower after he did this? You know? He did. I will be fair to Guilliman. He did actually use Primaris Marines to bolster up like dead and dying chapters, which is very helpful. But like critically, that's like 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. The Ultramarine descendants, there's 10 on standby. Look at the scale of this.
Yeah.
And so not only are those 10 just there ready for defense, you've now probably upset the statistical majority of Space Marines. And that's if they're related to Guilliman, because Guilliman also had a decent rep with a lot of his brothers. So Dorn's sons will be there. The Khan's sons will be there.
They have a couple advisors from different legions.
Guilliman himself rode in to save Ball. So do you think, like, the scale of this?
This is,
Do you see why it didn't fall immediately?
Yeah.
And how absurd it is.
It was just a well set up region of space.
They're so cool. They're so I love them so much. But at the end of the day, they can't gain ground either, because while they can prevent them from taking McCragg, they cannot do much about Mortarion appearing on random worlds.
Yeah.
They cannot do much about Kugath's constant waves of pestilence that just leave him. Typhus is constantly assaulting every single one of their shipping lanes, their defenses. Not to mention, that's stuff that you can see, because Nurgle is very present, food shipments arrive, and they're spoiled sometimes. Mm-hmm. Or they're perfectly fine, which is twice as concerning.
Because why are they just fine?
Could be an E. coli breakout in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
See? This is still
no, or it could be like Nurgle's new disease, which only takes effect like after you've eaten it.
Yep. This is critically, despite them holding, not a good situation for Ultramar. Nobody's happy about this. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants this done and dealt with quickly, because, hey, you know that massive line that goes to the
We have bigger problems we need to deal with. This is large, but that is immense.
You know that line's real close to McCragg.
Oh, is it?
An Ultramar.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I learned this while I was trying to figure out where that line goes. Mm-hmm. I can navigate to Ultramar on that map almost every time. And like off rip, I could tell you right now, depending on the scale of the map, it's either like bottom right hand corner, or like a little bit to the left and a little bit high if you have a map that encompasses like right outside the Milky Way too.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong.
Depending on like which direction the crack goes in the map, it could go like...
No, in just most maps, Macrack tends to be, Ultramar tends to be like bottom right-hand side.
Bottom right-hand side?
Mm-hmm. And you'll see when you're putting up a visual. Maybe I'm horrifically wrong right now, because it's been a while.
I was going to say, I know most maps usually have the crack either going from the bottom left corner to the top right corner, or like an X pattern. Mm-hmm. And I usually use the one where it's like bottom left corner to top right, because it's got a really cool visual of like the light side and the dark side of the galaxy.
This is also a galactic map, so like maybe I can only navigate in a certain... Because there's no like set way. The Milky Way can be seen from any angle.
Yeah, there's not really any top or bottom. Yeah. It just is.
But I'm fairly confident in my ability to navigate to Macrack, which not biased at all.
Look, an Ultramarine in training.
We'll see if I'm right. But we have... They phoned Guilliman. They call Dad because this is terrible. This is bad, and we need.
Listen, I'm at this party, and like everybody's throwing up and crapping themselves, and like they're happy about it. I saw one guy sneeze into somebody else's face. This is disgusting. Can you get me home, please, yep. please? Can you come in? Can you come get me, please, as soon as you can?
We need to cover what Guilliman's first couple of years awake looks like, because retcons have compressed this down, and I'm not really sure the full thing. I need to relook at it, but if I'm right, he goes right from ball to this. Oh. They've changed the timeline a little bit. I could be wrong on that. Do not fully quote me, but if I remember correctly, it is pretty much ball then this.
Dude.
Or this then ball, but...
Ball then this then balding.
Yeah. Like, it's so... Imagine dealing with, oh my God, Sanguinius' sons almost all my sons are...
Yeah, it's a wonder his hairline has not... it's a testament to how good his genetics are that his hairline has not receded further than it is now.
He is straight up not having a good time.
He should be looking like the lion right now, where the corners are at the back of his head.
Yeah. And like a little bit of gray. But no, it's all still perfectly fine and all still there. Look at him go. And he hasn't even had time to fully come to grips with what the Imperium's become. He hasn't become comfortable with all of this yet. He hasn't become comfortable with how they're treating his dad. He hasn't become comfortable with how they treat him. And for God's sake, is that my chair? My office chair as an artifact?
Get that out of that glass box immediately.
Yeah.
You cannot... I swear to God, if you had not perfectly climate controlled that box that you put that in as an artifact, and the humidity is just barely off, and now the cushion is just like hard now, I'm going to be so upset.
And the entire time there are people telling him this is the Emperor's will who have never even heard the man speak. Guilliman's mental is in the trash.
Yeah.
Guilliman, I won't spoil the books, but obviously there will be a couple of spoilers here and there because we're talking about the overall Plague Wars, but you'll still be able to read the books and still get a little bit from it. I'll say they open with Guilliman reminiscing on his death. So that's where his head's at.
Remember when I was dead?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Wish I could go back. That was awesome. Oh, God.
Well, that was
great.
More walking through what that looked like from his perspective. Mm-hmm. And it's really fun because we get to see the weird mental oddities that he has going on, bouncing around in there. Spoilers for the aftermath of the heresy. Guilliman dies.
Who'd have thunk?
He gets the brakes beaten off of him by Fulgrim. And it is a great showing for the girthy snake. I won't lie. He kind of dog walks him with
girthy
relative ease. Like it makes Guilliman look kind of like a total amateur, while also allowing him to show off all of his skills with a sword, which he uses to land a fatal blow on Guilliman's neck using the poison blade.
I don't know. Considering the subject matter of Fulgrim, I think this wasn't an amateur. I think this was hardcore.
Yeah. It is a wrap for Guilliman after that. Like, to give... Yes, hardy hard. To give a sense of scale of how... Because, you think, like, he was nicked by a blade and it, like, that was the end of him, right? Like, the typical, like, shing and then a single line appears and, like, horror,
Yeah.
His vocal cords are more vocal shreds.
Oh.
Like, he cannot get a
This was a couple lines across the throat. It was one big one. Oh, really?
It was a huge one. It is just now he cannot speak. And his sons, seeing that, do the best they can. They do actually go into overdrive, like pretty much because Space Marines tend to perform better when their father's around them anyway. When their father's laid out, they are in overdrive.
Yeah.
And so they pull out all the stops to pull him away, and the entire time, from their perspective, it is him reaching out and trying to say stuff, and they can't hear him.
Pen and paper immediately. I have like 5 things to write down. Don't revere my dad as a god. He's not a god. Please don't let a religious sect of the Imperium take over the entire Imperium. You're gonna hear about this guy named Goj Van Dyer. I know him. He was in college with me. Do not listen to him.
You'd think that, but we actually get his perspective on it, and a lot of it. There are 2 halves to Guilliman right now, right?
Yeah.
And we get to see the stark difference between them, because one part of him is just like a man at death's door, howling about how I cannot die. I am not done yet. I did not set up the Imperium correctly. My sons are going to be alone.
Just the full, I still have regrets. What do you mean?
Yeah, the Imperium is shattered. We lost dads on the throne. I can't die yet. It's not over. And like this, he's fading in and out and in and out. And then there's another part of him that's just sitting there dispassionately thinking, well, it's over. And I love these 2 sides being shown off, because we so rarely get to see like the inner workings of a Primarch's head. And so one half of him is so desperate, it's calling for dad to save him. He is weeping and like, Father, please put me back in, please.
This simply cannot be the end. I have more work to do.
Yeah, it is he's fully begging for the Emperor to save him. And then there's another part of him that, in the same way he would watch a construction site or paperwork going in, he's just noting, well, that's one heart down. Extremities are cold, and these blackouts are getting longer. I mean, what else can we do about
just
this?
Being incredibly analytical about it.
This is over. Not much we can do, not much they can do other than keep freaking out. And I absolutely love that, because it goes from him shrieking as he falls into this unending void to waking up to a new war. And that's his perspective, and then he has a whole several years of just dealing with problem after problem after problem. He's not having a great time.
It was like
in armor that hurts.
The movie, full credits rolled, like fade to black, and then immediately, as soon as the credits finished, it just boom,
midway through a movie.
Yep.
You are now midway through a movie. And you know the worst thing for Guilliman too, when he looks back to see his life, because you got to catch up with the New York Times for the last 10,000 years.
Yeah, what's happening?
He discovers the people who saved him, their names aren't even recorded. He'll never know who made the call to ram him into stasis. Even the true events of that day aren't recorded properly.
That's got to be, if not existentially, like, dreadful,
right?
At the bare minimum, goddamn irritating.
Yeah.
To a man like him.
Yeah.
It's like, timeline's wrong. Who the hell was taking the minutes that day?
And as he's reading this too, he has to see different fragments of it being like redacted by the Inquisition. Like, I'm Guilliman, give me the full form. Or like being rewritten, and it's like, well,
that's just wrong.
And none of you are mentioning my brothers. What do you mean none of them fell to king? He's so mad. He's so rightly mad.
Did you not want anybody to... Listen, that's a giant horny snake. The people need to be warned about that so that they can stay away.
To be fair, if you let them know about it, it gets worse.
Oh, yeah, then they become...
It's a very valid problem.
Yeah.
They are kind of cooking when they redact some of this stuff, which is what all of Ultramar is experiencing, as a lot of them bear witness to Mortarion.
But this is not giant horny snake. This is...
It's bad. So a war council is obviously assembled. Guilliman swears to never underestimate his own brothers again, and they need to figure out how to stop that march towards Macragge, because that is not going to end well, and with each passing day, he gets closer and closer and closer. Meanwhile, new development, demons just seem to be able to walk in and out of space.
Oh.
With zero effort.
Very cool.
Zero effort.
Love that.
Yep. With zero effort, they can just appear, disappear, walk around like this is the warp to them.
Yeah.
They can come and go as they please.
That's not right. That shouldn't be.
Other worlds have become twisted mockeries of trench warfare, because you have this horrific situation where defenders are dug in with massive no man's lands, and every 7 hours exactly, the dead all rise. And then you have to gun them down. And if anyone died during that, you have to throw them into no man's land. Every 7 hours, like clockwork, you have to do this. It is miserable throughout the realm.
I will say that probably is a light improvement to trench warfare. The clock part, not the having to throw your comrades into no man's land and gun them down 7 hours later. Because I think that was part of the stress of trench warfare, is you never knew when they were going to start an assault.
The air still burns. What, you thought the diseases stopped?
I'm looking for a silver lining here,
No.
I'm looking for any silver lining. Dude, you can't. I am grasping for something.
There is none. This is the god of despair. There are doctors who work 16-hour shifts, sleep in the hospital, get up, keep treating people. These people have diseases of faith.
How do I treat that?
That's a problem that they have to deal with. Meanwhile, guardsmen out there have to keep repeatedly gunning down their former brothers over and over and over until they're utterly unrecognizable due to their wounds. It's so bad. There's this horrific malaise that is just weaving itself into the entire fabric of his realm, and you can just tell Nurgle loves this.
He has eaten this up right now.
Yeah, entropy, despair. Like, if you had to charge depression to any one god, it's Nurgle.
Yeah.
Like, this is his thing. And, of course, his chosen champion, his demon primarch, is spreading this, hiding disease engines that spew rot into the very soul of all that are nearby. And no, I am not becoming an Imperial preacher. That's literally what he's doing. That's the description. Like, no need to get me a tall hat yet.
That is the actual description of what is happening.
Yes, there are hidden clocks that he's putting that sicken time itself. Yeah, that's just a thing. There are 7-faced clock contraptions surrounded by flies and oozing rot, and it's all part of this complicated ritual by Chaos to drag all of Ultramar into Nurgle's realm.
I feel like
it's part of a 7-part ritual, actually.
I was gonna say, this is upsetting. Like, you said, a 7-part clock.
No, a 7-faced clock.
7-faced clock.
And there are 7 of these clocks.
Okay.
And as they count down, each will bear a stronger and stronger plague until it culminates in the 7th strongest plague that will allow them to yank all of Ultramar.
I was gonna say part of this. I mean, this is incorrect because it's not happening. But like, part of the annoyance to Guilliman might be that Nurgle starts making everybody count in base 7 instead of base 10.
It'd be infuriating.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. Yeah, that's how that works.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. As you can tell, that's his favorite number. And as you can tell, all this numerology nonsense is bad. Guilliman can't even get here, by the way. Fun fact. Because the moment he says he needs to leave for Ultramar, everyone's like, oh, of course you need to leave for your pet project. What about the rest of the Imperium? See, he just wants to set up an Imperium too and just abandon all. Yeah. All of these political games immediately. And those are the ones that you can see up front. There are people who are like, yes, Guilliman, go, please. I will do nothing while you're gone. It's so bad for him. He does eventually get the ability to leave after several concessions and several plans, and he knows it's going to be another headache later. But he does, and he's only kind of late, but he does make it, and he does arrive with a whole box of Primaris Marines, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Now, I want to play a game with you. You know how impactful a couple Space Marines can be,
yes.
Right? And you know, theoretically, Primaris Marines improve on that formula in every possible way.
Correct.
Right? So they're more impactful.
They
right?
are Space Marines, too.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the Imperium just hit after hit after hit as far as making Space Marines goes. Mm-hmm. It's like, so I must ask, how many Primaris Marines did Guilliman arrive with?
100.
100?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a very, very close guess.
Mm-hmm.
15,000.
Oh. So at this point, he's just a Legion time.
It is 15 chapters worth of Space Marines. He didn't even bother with the whole chapter thing.
Listen, this is a problem. It needs to be dealt with swiftly and as soon as I can.
Yep.
I am not playing with the Codex Astartes. I wrote the damn thing.
Yep.
I do not care. Listen to me right now. get as many people as we can together. We are dealing with this, and we are moving on to the next problem.
Yep. He also arrives with 3 sector battle fleets, a retinue of Custodes, Sisters of Silence, and Captain Sicarius and Uriel Ventress, who, maybe the only time I ever say this, want to learn more about Uriel Ventress, check out the Demonculaba episode. That's a sentence I don't think I've ever said. Check out the Demonculaba episode.
No,
it is very good.
The grosser thing you could say is episode 69, the Demonculaba episode.
Oh God, was it?
Yes, because that was part of your joke about that episode.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's awful.
That is awful. But yeah. So if you want to learn more about Uriel, that's where you go. As for Cato, somehow we've never done an episode on him.
Yeah.
And we will at some point. So
a big
in the future, you can check that out.
Roman headdress, red and white guy.
Yeah. It is him.
That's all I know about him. Is he's got the big Roman feather head crest with the red and white feathers.
He's really fun, actually. I quite like him. All of this is basically what Ultramar needed. This is everything they could have asked
basically for. An entire legion of Ultramarines and Dad.
Well, it's less than a legion.
And
legions can be hundreds of thousands.
Okay. Well,
legions
a quarter of a legion.
There's a reason.
No, not even a quarter of a legion.
There's a reason Guilliman...
15% of a legion.
Yeah, there's a reason Guilliman said no one should ever command a full legion. It's scary what they can do.
Yeah.
This does a very good job of immediately halting all the momentum Chaos had. As you can imagine, when 15,000 Space Marines on top of the 10,000 who were there already, assuming none others showed up, which, spoilers, more did. There are Grey Knights present. Mm-hmm. Now, does it matter if you see them? You'll probably be Exterminatus anyway, so is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. This pretty much grinds everything to a stop, and now the ball is actually in the Imperium's court. For once, they get to dictate the flow of how things are going, and with Guilliman there to guide them, they, instead of going for winning the entire war across every single front, decide to try and end it with as few very decisive strikes as they can manage. Just let's just stop this. I can scrub walls. I can't deal with the fire hose that's still painting them. You know what I mean? Let's turn the faucet to the sewage system off, and then we can deal with everything else.
I can remove the cause. I'll deal with the symptom later.
Exactly. Nurgle's forces are not idiots. They're all pretty competent too. So they decide, what if we put a decisive blow into their entire manufacturing capability and the one stable warp route in and out?
That'd be a pretty significant blow to literally everything of theirs.
And, bonus points for Mortarion. It's named after Guilliman's dad. So,
Yeah, that's not just materially, but culturally and emotionally significant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
They siege that entire system, and the end result is foul. Entire agri-worlds just have to be burned. You just have to burn the entire surface and hope that we can scour it of raw. Meanwhile, all defenses are on the shipping ports, so they can just get out as many seeds as they possibly can, because the planet's it's hosed. It's done.
Yeah.
It is done. We will just replant once we burn everything.
We're not growing anything on this for the next at least half century.
Whole manufactorums are blacked out by smoke and rusting beneath this haze. As every single guardsman who dies on these planets becomes another force for Nurgle to use.
Because, of course, he operates with zombies.
Yeah, it's terrible, and Guilliman doesn't take the bait. He doesn't take the bait. Instead, he's just like, I can't save every single world, so we're just gonna focus on stopping this whole plague war.
Let's be analytical about this.
Best
as much
defense,
as I hate that.
Great offense. And so he just chooses to gather so many Space Marines, as well as all of the fleets that he managed to drag along with him, and is physically present there himself with the Emperor's sword and a couple of night houses and a Titan Legion too, to really seal the deal.
Bringing the entire hammer here. And
he just wants to put pressure on Chaos because we can't deal with this right now.
This is a problem, but it needs to be a non-problem.
And he does it very brilliantly, because does he fully know that all those 7 clocks are counting down towards some massive ritual? No. Does he know that it's a 7-faced clock, and there's 7 of them, and this is a Nurgle situation? Yeah. So he goes after the clocks. It's the most obvious thing. Like, come on. This does not take tactical genius to know you disable the 7 clocks. And
deal with the big MacGuffin. Yeah. Listen, I've wrote enough books in my life to know what a MacGuffin looks like. I'm going for that.
Yeah, and so that is what they do, putting pressure on these worlds that seem to matter more than others, and disabling each one slowly and slowly and slowly, while also trying to carve a path in space to cut off Nurgle's reinforcements from constantly pouring in. Because not only are they getting reinforcements from those that they raise up now, but also, critically,
they're still shipping people in.
They're still shipping people in from those areas that were infected by Nurgle's blight before all this. So this is a very important operation. It all culminates in Guilliman watching the Emperor's sword burn a shade he'd never seen before. And it happens in like a dark cathedral, and it's described as the sun may as well have been overhead.
Oh.
As he cleaves Nurgle's 5th favorite demon in twain. I told you, Nurgle's putting his full back into this. So many major demons are
He's
present.
got his top 7 demons on this.
Yeah. Nurgle does have favorites, and they are all aware of it, and they know their rankings, and they know how much Dad loves them. But B, this is also a great time to mention that major player that I said in the beginning has been very active throughout the Plague Wars, the Emperor. Because not only is it by his grace that Guilliman gets here, though, if you ask a Guilliman, it was just a particularly smooth ride that day.
The weather was wonderful.
Yeah, the weather was wonderful. But it is heavily hinted throughout the entirety of the Plague Wars that the Emperor is stitching what's left of his mind together to just look directly at this grudge match happening, and specifically
clear a path for Guilliman to do whatever he needs to do.
Yes. And so what that looks like is Guilliman arriving, smooth warp weather, with 15,000 Space Marines and several fleets, and Mortarion trying to stop it and not being able to.
This is something a cop would hear investigating, and he'd go, a likely story.
Yeah, but this is the Emperor's handiwork, and it is made blatantly clear here, because I made it sound like he jobbered this demon on contact. It is no slouch. It is Nurgle's 5th favorite demon, and described as Lord of the Lost Second, which I told you Nurgle can be depressing. He's got a major demon for the time you waste. Like, it is the most harrowing thing.
How many hours do you have in League?
There used to be a tool for that, and I used to look, and it doesn't exist anymore.
That's a shame.
Which is a shame, and I've been meaning to ask what the total is just so I can be horrifically sad.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
But you'd be feeding this demon.
No, I'm just curious.
Oh.
It's a curiosity thing. But yes, he has a demon of that. And this demon has been said to be the last watcher and claims to have seen the end of time itself. Which, really cool. Also, a little bit paradox-inducing. But I'm just going to say it's a demon. It lied. That's how I'm going to charge this. It lied. And nothing anyone can do to it can permanently harm it. They fire everything they can. It's just regenerating as fast as they can cut it. And the only thing that leaves any kind of mark on it is the Emperor's sword.
Because of course.
Which burns brighter and brighter as it carves more and more wounds into him and slows his healing to the point that actual damage can be done and the thing has to play defense, which must be a first for Nurgle demons. They don't do that very often.
Wait, what do you mean? I can't just walk at him and take all the bullets?
Yeah, and at its very, very height, it turns into that bright, almost sun-like thing that is able to... It doesn't do it in this case, but when he does arrive, it is very clearly stated that it could have properly killed him.
Oh.
Not sent him back to the garden, just scoured him.
Yeah. It could have just burned him from reality.
Yes.
Cool.
So
this is in fact the MacGuffin sword. He's got his own MacGuffin now.
No, the Emperor is very clearly watching this football game.
Yeah,
is what it boils down to.
He's making calls to try and fix the game before it ends.
Yeah, and this entire time, Mathieu is in the wings watching too.
Mathieu, forget about Matt.
Yeah. And so throughout this entire time,
you see what that sword's doing? Yeah, you're a god. Sorry to break it to you, bud.
It's not even that. I kid you not. The scene breaks. The sword lights up, right? And that's already a lot. And like that's probably enough for Mathieu, right? But he scales the demon, cuts it in half, kick flips off of it and lands. I kid you not. This is not my Ultramarine bias showing. I want you to know this. This is what he actually does. Sheaths the sword to darken the room and then simply says, "It is done."
Give this IP to an anime studio immediately, because that was the most...
Like, dude, even in this moment, Guilliman thinks like, okay, that was pretty. That was kind of gas.
Guilliman watches anime. This is definitely now a canon
if
fact.
I remember correctly,
like after that behavior, Guilliman is a weeb. I hate to break it to you. That's what this is. I'm sorry. It's not me writing the book. It's
I mean, Guy Haley's writing is very good. I do appreciate it. But if I remember correctly, the exact thought Guilliman has after that is just godlike. Now, obviously, he's a statesman. He can't basically go, "Did you see?"
Yeah,
that?
You can see his face. He's fighting a grin from farming on his face.
Helmet on, so they don't even need to know.
I see.
Like, he obviously can't go, "Did you see that?" But come on, did you see that?
That's what his internal monologue is saying.
And he doesn't need to, because Mathieu sees that, immediately falls to his knees. Immediately falls to his knees and goes, "The Emperor is watching. He's here."
He falls to his knees, pulls a phone out, and is like, "I'm making an edit of it now. It's gonna have funk and everything."
Like, these are Zorro moves that he's pulling.
Yeah.
And
no, the exact one I was thinking is, you know that one scene from, like, I think it's like season 1 of Demon Slayer where the lightning guy is like eyes closed doing the full anime like lightning quick draw forward.
Yeah. Well, his eyes aren't closed, he's asleep.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I don't watch enough Demon Slayer to know.
Go on.
But yeah, I'm sure in Guilliman's head he was thinking, I had that moment. I did that.
My favorite is his response to Matthew's whole routine. Just, "You're alive?" Because this was a major demon present. This was a major named 5th favorite of Nurgle demon.
You're not dead?
Here. Yeah. And
you didn't like keel over of some random disease?
Mathieu has the best response. "Of course I am. The Emperor protects." Do you see what? Dude, I'm fighting the urge to make this just a Mathieu episode.
My new favorite character is Matt.
Like, I love it so much.
I don't care what you say. 40K has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rainbow of colors. I do not give a damn. My favorite character is Matt.
Like, no. I'm telling you, Guy Haley can write. I love this series. But yeah, so that is his reaction to that, to which Guilliman goes, "Not divine. I just had that on lock." and the debate continues from there. And should I digress? It leads to a very fun moment where you have Mathieu asking him, "Clearly the Emperor loves us." Like, clearly the Emperor loves us. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing all this. Otherwise you couldn't be doing all this. And you just have Guilliman immediately get depressed by that question. Because he just thinks back to all the ways his dad has failed his brothers. And all the times that the Emperor has just used men. And he just has this thought of, yeah, maybe he loves humanity, but
he doesn't love me.
He doesn't love any one of us. Certainly not me. But he can't say that. So he just goes, "The Emperor loves us all," and just walks away. I love these two.
In his head, he's screaming. He wants to scream at Matt.
Yep.
You know, you say that, but if he did, I wouldn't have daddy issues. So,
yep.
You know, evidence lacking.
All of this anime nonsense, and I say that endearingly, pisses Mortarion off. The moment he gets that email, he's, not only did you do all that to one of Nurgle's favorite demons, so I have to answer to that now, you threw off my whole numerology thing. Like, I had a whole thing going. We had 7 times 7 with 7 face clocks, and on the 7th one, and now like 5 of them are gone.
I had a jackpot. and you ruined it.
Yeah.
Like, you moved one of the 7s to a lucky cherry, and now, like, I get nothing. I lost $20. Thanks, brother.
Yep. This whole thing weakens their grip on the reality there, so you have less people constantly getting up after death, and this does really hurt their supply lines too. But the main thing that bugs Morty is, like, everyone's saying Dad's present and cares about you more, and I hate that.
What does that say about me?
It bugs Morty. It bugs him to know.
You know, it's so jarring, because at the start of this podcast, I didn't know just how much of 40K would be just familial issues.
Yep.
Just Koda therapy.
Yep. Thankfully, this is a 3-headed operation, and Morty's pettiness cannot derail the entire thing. Typhus will never listen to his own father. I'll tell you that for free right now. Like, Typhus actively, every time they chat, is trying to piss Mortarion off. Every chance he gets. Like, he goads him with every sentence. When he joins into calls, the buzzing from the hive that he is host to is annoyingly loud. Like, Typhus just riles up his own father for for plenty of reasons. So, obviously, barking up that tree's not going to work, because Typhus is just going to tell him, lock in! Grandfather has a plan. Stop this nonsense. Mm-hmm. So, Mortarion doesn't even try to convince him. Instead, he turns to Kugath, who is a little bit more malleable, or at least doesn't hate him. That's a start.
Well, the sentient dingleberry would be a little bit more malleable, wouldn't it?
It's a very large dingleberry.
Yeah. It's like a big ball of Play-Doh. You could probably mold that thing to whatever shape you wanted.
This is when we discover that this whole numerology thing and the whole 7 thing is kind of just a Mortarion thing. Not necessarily the entirety of chaos is for this plan, because he has a lot of hang-ups. Firstly, the numerology helps overcomplicate things a lot. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to charge obvious psyker nonsense if you just go, but I followed my grandfather's numbers and here we are. You know, it's a lot easier to just like cope and seethe effectively if you just hide it behind all of that. B, the whole numerology thing really does do a good job of getting one over on his brother, because if he does manage to yank all of Ultramar, that's a win. Mm-hmm. No matter what, that's a win.
Yeah.
And lastly, if it did work, this would make Nurgle the happiest. So, while it is kind of a chaos plot, it is very, I will either win or lose, and nothing in between. Mm-hmm. There is no middle ground here. I will either make Nurgle the happiest anyone has ever made him, or fail like so many others have.
Yeah. And Nurgle will still love me.
Yeah. Typhus sees right through all of this, and will not turn. No matter what, he thinks you are overcomplicating. He actually sees right through it. He goes, you're overcomplicating this. You're just trying to get one over your brother. If we all just ran all over Ultramar and just let plagues be, it would be far better and we could just leave. Like, he just takes the approach of win the war in the physical realm. What are we doing?
Like, we could just, like, win this and move on.
Just drown Ultramar in plagues.
We have other plagues to spread.
Yeah, and honestly, it might have worked. Because you got to think about it from this perspective. Mortarion's been running around setting up all of these clocks. Kugath is over on one planet brewing one thing that will be the 7th plague, that will be the mightiest. It's just kind of Typhus, who's been running around all of Ultramar, pounding all of their orbital defenses every chance he can. If all 3 of them just decided, we are done playing games, we're just going to cut a line into McCrag.
It'd work.
It would have worked.
Because, like, at this point, Typhus has been the most efficient of the bunch.
Yep. But
that's not fun. That doesn't have a story behind it. And most of all, that doesn't get at Guilliman.
Exactly. You get it 100%. And even if we're being very, very, very generous and saying that Mortarion has been helping with various offensives, that still means it's only 66% of the forces that Nurgle sent.
Yeah.
Look at the damage they did with just 2/3.
Yeah, and Kugath is still I'd say even just 50%, because Kugath is still like kind of on board for Mortarion's like weird BS.
Well, now is when the real split happens, because Typhus just goes off to continue doing exactly what Nurgle would have wanted. He's right. Mortarion convinces Kugath to keep going and let's keep playing this numerology game and keep brewing this because Nurgle would be so happy with us, and then you'd be able to make that plague, and then Dad would finally love you. Not to say that he doesn't love you, but like, are you sure that he loves you? He just plays on all of the poor guy's insecurities. That's it. That's all Mortarion does.
You could build the most effective plague. You could make up for the plague you drank.
You could guarantee you are his favorite kid. Guarantee it. That's pretty.
Kugath is eating that up.
Yeah, of course. And so they hatch a plan and all agree to meet on planet, I think it's like 6 of 7, to try and slow Guilliman down because he's, to quote Mortarion, walking the path but walking it too quick. Like we don't have time for this. We gotta
accelerate this a little bit.
Yeah. And so they all arrive on this planet to hold it, and remember how I said Guilliman arrived with a bunch of stuff? Now it's Chaos's turn because Mortarion arrives with an entire Chaos Titan Legion.
And these are Nurgle's Chaos Titans.
Oh, they're working for him at this point, yeah.
This is disgusting.
I believe these ones are just undivided Chaos Titans, though.
Wait, really? Okay.
I think so. I mean...
Maybe they're slightly less disgusting.
A Chaos Titan's still a Chaos Titan.
Yeah, it's scary.
You know? He's got his own Legion present. He's got cultists, demon engines, Poxwalkers galore. People keep rising from the dead all around him. And when you are observing this from orbit, it all looks like a perfect formation drawing a fly. Because they really made him superstitious. They made him very obsessive throughout this war.
Yep.
Kugath is also obviously present with so many demons. So many demons.
Makes sense. And him being like maybe Nurgle's second favorite, he could rile up a bunch.
Fun fact, there's even patterns within the patterns that Guilliman can observe from orbit and just goes, that probably means something to that deluded sod. Oh well.
I better disrupt that formation as soon as I can.
Yeah. On this world, they also take shield generators that are typically powered by like miniature suns burning away for all of eternity and corrupt and twist them. So when you open up the reactor core, you see like a massive 5-chambered heart beating to keep the shield alive. It's so cool.
That's cool and disgusting.
Oh, all of this is disgusting. So much is disgusting. I haven't even mentioned the flesh bridges that they use.
Ew.
Because of course they use flesh bridges. Everything's covered in a thin layer of flesh. Yeah.
A membrane.
Yeah, it's really grungy. Yeah. It is really, really, really grungy. And this is the single largest Titan on Titan brawl throughout the entirety of the Plague War. There's so many, because of course, look, Titans are not subtle. You know, like you can use a scanner. You can very easily tell the shape of a Titan.
Yeah.
So obviously Guilliman shows up with his Titans, you know? And so it is a massive battlefield, and you have these behemoths just carving massive trenches into this borderline. The mud itself is far thicker than it should be, and it's almost like they're fighting in a bog, and these trenches are being carved in with these massive god engines duking it out. Demons left, right, and center. Kugath in the background on his palanquin throwing stuff left, right, and center. Like, they're
definitely fighting on a bog, and I'd say that in the British definition of bog.
Yeah, it smells like one. Yeah. I'll tell you that much. And the entire thing is just constantly going and going and going. And look, a lot of the Plague Wars conflicts are going to be the same thing. Massive rusty things causing plagues where they go.
Just icky. Just icky. Just icky. Gross. Yeah. Disgusting. It's slimy. It's gooey. It's maybe a kind of sketchy shade of brown. It's what the Seine looked like pre the Olympics.
Thames, I was going to say the Thames before people realized you shouldn't drain all sewage into that.
Oh, I was going to say, well, because one guy,
remember correctly, they did.
Wasn't it one guy, he like coded a website of like you could calculate the distance you were from the river Seine where they were hosting the Olympic swimming events to see exactly how long it would take to get your poo to get to where they were hosting it. And so they were planning to have a big wall of feces hit the Olympics.
How could I forget about that?
How could you forget about that?
Jesus. Yeah, sure. That's a good example. That is a terror that they're facing. There are custodians on the ground present. Every Ultramarine present's trying their very best. They deploy all kinds of gear, including my favorite psych-out grenades, which basically disconnect something's connection to the warp for a very brief moment.
Oh, it's like bug out, like psych out.
Yeah, it's very unpleasant to be around, even if you're not a psyker.
Yeah, because
super unpleasant.
I'd figure it's like a micro blank.
Yeah, well,
like a blank explosion for half a second.
If I remember correctly, I don't remember how they're made, but I remember it's almost blank or psyker suffering guaranteed. Like, if I remember correctly, those things are not pleasant. They also have psych out missiles too.
Mm-hmm.
No, I did remember it's not made from psyker suffering. Well, technically, a psyker suffering. It's the stuff that leeches out of the Golden Throne. And they just were like, wow, this makes a hell of a grenade. And temporarily disconnects things connection to the warp. So, very useful in the situation. As many a Plague Marine suddenly feels what they look like. Yeah. Yeah.
And just starts screaming and gripping at their armor.
Yeah. All throughout.
So much itching.
This entire time, Mortarion's floating all over the battlefield, and Guilliman's like, if I can just get that guy. If I can just cut him down.
Is there some way I can clip his wings?
I think we can win this. And so his whole thing is he's trying to draw out his brother, and he brings out the whole sword, and he does the whole routine. And he pretty much cuts his way through an entire battlefield, with even custodians going, dang, I didn't know the accountant could do all that, as he's taunting Mortarion, attempting to get him to fight him directly so he can just run the one so we can finish this, dude, please.
Hitting him with all of the witty zingers, such as Dad loves me more than you.
Yep. Well, the sword's proof enough. I love this. I love him wielding the sword, because the entire time, from the moment Kugath learns that he has it, he's like, hate that. That is, don't even say his name. Don't describe him. I know whose sword that is, and it can kill me. It could kill you, Mortarion. So let's not joke around with that. And so
that thing is what I describe as a problem.
Yeah, and so instead of directly dealing with Guilliman, they send out like just every minor demon they can muster to try and like, please just wound him. Please just wound him. I don't want to get close to that.
You don't need to kill him. You just need to like keep him away for a second so we can finish what we're starting here.
Yeah. And Mortarion himself finally arrives as the grudge match we've been waiting for shakes out. In one corner, we have a wizard in denial with heavy armor mastery, wings, and a scythe bigger than 3 men. In the other corner, we have an accountant with a burning sword. Place your bets.
This is not going Guilliman's way. Not at all.
Before any blows can even be exchanged, Kugath just binds him. He's present.
Oh, and this is a 2v1. Yeah, so, like, of course. No. Obviously, Guilliman's losing this encounter. This is over.
And now, in this moment, you have the Avenging Sun fully bound in the middle of a massive battlefield, with Mortarion wielding silence right in front of him and Kugath right there present. Mortarion decides to monologue.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
He could have killed him. I just want that to be super duper clear.
Yeah, but he's a petty and edgy bastard.
He chose to monologue.
Of course he's going to choose to monologue.
In this moment, we get a debate.
Of course.
And I'm not going to lie to you. It's a wrap for Guilliman. Once this monologue is done, it's going to be over. And at this point, it's just Mortarion deciding, where do I want silence to go through? Could, like, upper body, lower body, legs first.
I assume Mortarion even brought up like a measuring tape, and he's just like, where's the optimum? Hold on, let me just get like, let's get you into 7ths. I'm sure Nurgle would love me for that.
He's so up in this moment. And we're going to leave him trapped there for a little bit. And we'll go talk about Mathieu, my beloved.
Matt.
Yeah, Mathieu, my beloved. He's been following Guilliman this entire time, still doing the same routine, much to Guilliman's chagrin. We last left him after Guilliman did the whole kickflip routine.
And his anime moment, yes.
Yeah, and now he is off attempting to think of how to convince the most rational man in the galaxy that he's actually a god, when a vision strikes him of a girl with the Emperor.
Who is this person? Is this Guilliman's mom?
No, it's just a random girl. And in this vision, the Emperor's booming voice tells him, find her and use her. It will assure victory.
This is Guilliman's mom.
No. I'll tell you that right now.
No?
No.
Okay.
This is a girl who's conveniently also on this planet who is being hailed as a saint.
Celestine?
There can be other saints is what I'm going to say. We just haven't zoomed into any of them.
Okay. Well, let's zoom in. Which is this one?
Utterly irrelevant outside of the Plague Wars. No, but she is really, really, really important. And he does go find her and indirectly, with a little bit of conspiracy, bring her to the front lines of this battlefield.
This doesn't go well. This is not good.
That is such a big no-no.
That is an extremely big no-no.
From our perspective, we know who Mathieu is. We know his visions are probably accurate. We know it's probably the Emperor.
Yeah.
But from theirs, this girl is just a very, very, very strong psyker who claims to be sent by the Emperor.
Yeah.
This is a Tuesday. We get 10 of these every week.
What do you mean?
How many of these we get? We had one who looked just like Sanguinius, wings and everything. We cannot trust this at all.
Yeah.
This is super duper sketchy. And this could very, very, very easily be a chaos plot. Obviously, you should not bring them to the front lines where the Emperor's only living son is currently restrained with a cartoon villain sizing him up for a scythe appointment.
Please don't put please don't put her directly next to Guilliman. That is the worst thing you could do.
Worse, Guilliman is aware of her and gave direct orders to keep her in imprisonment until I can figure out what that is exactly. On so many levels is this. These are direct orders from him. These are direct orders from their commanding officers. You shouldn't do this. And you know what's worse?
What?
They didn't just like, oh yeah, come on, let's just go. And they brought her to the battlefield. They killed an Ultramarine. They broke a Sister of Silence's back. They killed high-ranking officers. Guardsmen are dead. This was a secured psyker.
Just to
and
get
then
her
they
to the front
brought
lines.
this to Guilliman's doorstep.
Sure.
And they encourage it to use its full power. Yeah. They're so lucky this thing's actually Big E. They are so lucky, but also this is like the ecclesiarchy kind of thinking, which is, what's the strategy? Faith. Faith.
This has got to work.
I know. My God wouldn't let me down.
Big E said this would work.
So it's got to work. Which very fitting for the ecclesiarchy. And I'll be fair, it actually does work. Because as she's walking through the battlefield, like I told you, thick with mud. Everyone else is struggling. She's walking atop of it, not even leaving footprints.
Yeah.
When a custodian looks into her eyes, there's this moment of, my lord? Like, the eyes betray something thousands of years old that even a custodian
was able to
immediately recognize. She is glowing radiant gold. They really lucked out on this one.
Yeah.
And
they lucked out that this one was actually true.
Yeah, and the ground erupts in holy fire, and immediately Mortarion goes, that's not good. Cuts a hole in reality and just leaves. Kugath looks at that, says anathema, and leaves. I'm done. I'm out. And he just hefts himself. By the way, he's been on a palanquin this entire time. He sprints through that. They're not having any of this. And it frees Guilliman. Scatter! Pretty, like, this is the most cartoon villain I think any Primarch has ever been, because Mortarion could literally stick his head out of that portal and go, and I would have gotten away with it too, if it wasn't for you meddling kids. It's so funny. Yeah, and now that is twice, count them, twice, that Guilliman's life has been saved by direct, obvious divinity. He's still not a god, though.
Yeah, somehow. Nope, not at all.
Nope.
I assume just Mathieu is just sitting there, just like screaming.
He's so happy. He's so happy. He loves this so much. Guilliman doesn't. Guilliman hates this. Fun fact, this is when we discover Guilliman is pro-death penalty because he does hand it out. He does hand it out. They broke a Sister of Silence's back.
Yeah.
They killed an Ultramarine.
Yeah. You can't just do that.
And that was a direct order from Guilliman. And, like, He even brings up the very valid point of chaos tries to tempt me every day. Do you think they don't know about you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's so mad.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. It's this is the beginnings of their full on falling out, because this is when like Matthew's fanaticism goes a bridge too far, even for Guilliman, because he feels like actually conned by this. Like, you're actually a nut job. This isn't a fun debate anymore. You're insane, and I should strike you down. And there's this really fun moment where we see from Matthew's perspective how every book said Guilliman was kind of just dry and boring. And every time we've discussed the loyalists, they're always just calm and very stoic. They're built like gods of old. It's typically the other brothers who are twisted and angry, and this level of just hateful. But in that moment, he sees the same expressions on Guilliman's face as he is howling, and Guilliman's pissed.
He didn't realize that the loyalists could be this wrathful.
In this moment, he's this close to striking Matthew down. Except for the fact that Matthew's smiling. Because like, oh my god, I could get judgment from him. Like, this would be great. If you decree it. Which just disgusts Guilliman. They have such a fun relationship. We will talk about that more in the inevitable Matthew episode at some point.
It has to happen now.
Yep.
You've just introduced me to my favorite 40k character,
Yep.
which changes every week, but it's this one now.
It doesn't have a model though, so you're host. If you're keeping... No,
I know we have talented 3D modelers.
Darn straight we do.
That's all I'm saying.
So for those of you at home keeping score, 6 worlds down. 1 more to go.
Ah.
You want to guess where they're all going?
Macragge.
No, Ajax.
Oh, that one farm world from earlier.
Yep, which they wish to rename into Pestiax. Yeah.
That's not very creative.
Yeah, is what it is though.
It's really...
Pestiax?
Pestiax?
You know, for the longest time when I was reading it, I thought it was like a lowercase L. So I thought
Pestilax?
Yeah, so I thought it'd be Pestilax, but nope.
It's not a lowercase L?
Ajax.
Pestilax makes more sense. I'm not gonna lie.
It feels better, doesn't it? But no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Pestiax.
No, could. Boy, howdy, am I going to be getting comments if I was wrong. Slightly dyslexic, so I'm going to hide under that shield real quick.
Yeah. Please don't kill me.
Please don't kill me.
Please don't.
Yeah, but to err is man, and I am but a man.
Mm-hmm. It's an honest mistake.
Yeah. This is going to be real tough for them. I'm not going to lie. Chaos is not doing too great.
Mm-hmm.
Typhus, who's been kind of just doing exactly what Nurgle would have wanted, handling everything he can in orbit, spreading as many plagues as he can, all while being incredibly phlegmy about it. He fought off several Grey Knights. That was a thing that he did, and they actually left him with a wound that still burns.
Because they're Grey Knights.
That's
kind of their specialty.
Has up and left. Oh, Typhus is out. Because they are 3 other Chaos Gods. And they're not just going to let him take all of Ultramar just like that. So some of Khorne's forces have begun arriving. Some of Tzeentch's forces have begun arriving.
He needs to go deal with them specifically.
Nurgle has called them all back.
Cool.
As the Great War, the Great Game, they're always doing this to each other. They're always doing this to each other. And Typhus does tell Morty, we should just leave. Dad wants us to just leave. Abandon all of this.
Listen, it's over. We were discovered. We have other problems to deal with
it's over because of your dumb plot. Let's not pretend here. Like, you fumbled this, not me. I did exactly what
you fumbled this, and now we have bigger problems. Thanks for that. Help us deal with them.
Yep, but Morty and Kugath cannot be convinced because Kugath is this close to finally making it. He finally has the last ingredient he needs, and Mortarion just wants the pub stomp kill.
Mm-hmm. So he's encouraging Kugath to keep pursuing that.
Yep. This is where Nurgle's cauldron has been the entire time. This has been the biggest thing, just spewing rot as it is constantly being churned and brewing something known as the God Blight, with the last of its ingredients being added from that previous battle, Guilliman's blood.
I see.
Yep.
This is a tactical holding him.
And now God Blight is described as being, stay with me now if you're a bio student, a bacterium, phage, virus, rogue protein, parasite, cancer, mutant gene code, and more all in one.
That...
Oh. Minus the more all in one, that's 7. I didn't even notice that.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Look at that.
We love our numerology in this household.
Yeah.
It is described as being alive and as aware as we are. and just wants to infect.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm not a bio student. Those things don't make sense in the same sentence.
What I will say is, Kugath himself is like, handle with care. Like, when you have a great unclean one glove up to hand you something, it's bad. It is bad. God Blight is no joke. He tells Morty, hey, this could kill me. This could kill you. Seriously. Don't play with this. Only use it on Guilliman, and don't trip. Like, you cannot let this vial break. It is bad. And during clinical trials, we did see a little bit of what it's capable of, as it kind of just Gaussian blurred any demon it touched out of existence. Just smear gone. Just smear gone.
Yeah, you know that video Tyler won, screaming and disappearing?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, exactly. Everything just turns into black goo. And the worst thing is, their soul is lost forever as a plague infects and eats even that.
Oh, this like kills them.
Yes, there's nothing. There's nothing beyond.
This erases them from reality.
Yes. And that's what Guilliman's walking towards.
Cool.
Yes. It's obvious. This is clearly what they've been working on, but also, this is Nurgle's cauldron in my backyard. Like, look. If somebody breaks into your home and then builds a manhole in your backyard and then heavily defends it and just leaves the thing open air, you're gonna go deal with that at some point, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yes, clearly he expects me to go there, but also, that's an open manhole.
Like I can smell the entire city's sewage.
Like,
oh, Fatberg.
Like, please, God, somebody deal with that, you know? And unfortunately, Guilliman has nobody to help him but him. So he has to go there and deal with it. And this is where the final battle of the Plague War takes place. Again, as a Guilliman fan, I don't know how to break this to you. It's not going to go well for him.
No, he's just the accountant.
He is competent. He's #blessed even. But he's going against Mortarion, who have kind of undersold throughout this entire episode. He's Rancid Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's massive. He's winged. He has a scythe that can cut through pretty much anything.
He has the confidence to name it Silence, which is the edgiest thing possible.
And he pulls it off every single time. He's also a hell of a psyker. And he always has this...
Though he doesn't want to admit it.
No, he doesn't want to admit it. Yeah. And there's always this noxious cloud that leaves him and his respirator and the scythe. And it can just rot anything it touches.
He is not insignificant.
He's not a joke.
He is something
He's
to deal with.
Strong.
He is a final boss.
Yeah, and he was for a game.
Really?
Yeah, but he was a beatable one, so I'm mad about that.
Oh. Well, what kind of character were you playing in this game?
I think Grey Knight.
Grey Knight?
I think
that makes kind of sense.
But, like, come on, they also
that would make more sense.
A Grey Knight tattooed his name into, like, Mortarion's heart.
Yeah, so. I was going to say, they can absolutely deal with them.
I don't like that.
But, like...
Every other demon Primarch gets respect except for him, man.
I would say a Primarch like Mortarion or Angron makes sense as like a roguelike
I can see Angron
boss because where you kill them but they'll be back next week. They have a lore reason to be back next week.
Yeah. God, a 40k roguelike where you go against the Primarch. Oh, I'd love it.
Kind of similar to Hades.
I'd love it.
I mean, Hades is the god of death. He doesn't die.
Yeah.
He's just gonna like respawn at the pool of blood and then you're good to go.
You're good to go. You'd have to be an unnamed Space Marine, though, and it's just you're just a new acolyte waking up every single cycle to just die.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to have your own lore reason for not dying.
Or you just replace him. Just Space Marine number 457.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible. I want more 40k games. That's all. That's the long and short of it here. Throughout this fight, though, they do a very good job of showcasing the difference in skill between them.
Mm-hmm.
Because...
God, this is dog walking number 2 for Guilliman. When is he just going to give up and go back to his desk?
And not this time, because as he's fighting, he has to fight through this massive cloud. He can't get fully close to Mortarion either because he's using his wings to outmaneuver him. Despite being rather slow, Primarch wings still gives you quite the advantage.
Yeah.
He
did drink his Red Bull.
Yeah, he's constantly blasting him with magic missile over and over and over and over again. And if he gets even a little bit close, scythes longer than swords. Don't know if you knew that. reach advantage Mortarion.
Yep.
And so he's using it to swing at him or like trip him up, and Guilliman just cannot catch a break. He tries to play the ranged game because, you know, he's got the guns built in.
Yeah.
But the moment he aims at Mortarion with them, they rust away.
Ah.
Like Mortarion says a single word under his breath, they rust away.
Fall.
It's so cool. They really fulfill the fantasy here, and Guilliman cannot do anything about this. It is a wrap for him, and at some point, the most embarrassing part of all of this is when Guilliman is pinned literally under a single foot. Yeah.
Mortarion steps on him?
Yeah. And you gotta remember, Mortarion was never a small boy, and is a very, very strong boy. Guilliman cannot get up.
Yeah.
And it is at this point that Mortarion does the single sketchiest thing you can do in a fight. Period.
He's already stepping on him.
Listen. Fight. By the time you're about a scythe in a fight, that's already pretty bad. Stepping on your opponent, that's already pretty bad. Whipping out a syringe. Whipping out a syringe after a fight. Mm-hmm. You're the villain.
Yeah.
I don't care how this fight started. Mm-hmm. If you whip out a syringe, you're the bad guy. Mm-hmm. You're the bad guy. And injects Guilliman with the God Blight.
And this just doesn't go well at all.
Immediately, we start seeing the limits of Primarch skin adhesion.
Ah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
As it just sloughs right off of Guilliman. And like he's described as everything on him is rapidly rotting away. The armor cracking around him. Like bits of his skeleton show up and they immediately turn brown and start cracking the moment they're exposed to the outside world. It sounds like he's boiling from the inside as a tide of filth goes through his entire system.
He's boiling. He's got super leprosy. He's just like, this is not good.
And as he exhales, like hot steam leaves his mouth and everything it touches dies. Even demons immediately turn into sludge.
Very cool.
And Mortarion himself is backing up using his wings to like beat the gusts away from him and like shield himself. Still trying to like play it tough, but even it's rough for him.
He's just going, stinky.
No, it's rough for him even to like, not to be stinky, to shield himself from this. It's so foul. And we see Guilliman's, it's so much pain. He's in so much pain. The only place in his mind he can find peace is by sprinting to the Emperor of Mankind. Like mentally, he sprints to the last conversation he had with Dad. That's how bad he is. There's nothing else he can reach for.
Yeah.
There's no childhood memories that can spare him. There's nothing. And the entire time, by the way, Mortarion very carefully takes all of his armor off, buttons up a nice white shirt, puts a name tag on, black tie, and goes, "Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Nurgle?"
He's picking now to proselytize.
Yeah.
Actually makes sense because Nurgle can immediately make the pain go away.
He can make the pain go away. He can make it stop. Just join us. Hello.
He's a loving father for once.
Yeah. And now is when he's doing this routine. And the whole time we're watching the lowest a Primarch can be brought. And we see what Primarch immune systems are like when Guilliman is like nicked a couple of times and his skin just seals immediately, or when he does manage, because these are plague wars, he does contract stuff, and there's no other way to describe it other than white blood cells jump whatever jumps in. Like, it is quick and it never slows him down, and this immediately brings him to his knees. He cannot.
This is not, there's not even any like fighting it going on. It's not like a wound is like trying to fight to reheal it. No, it's just going.
The entire time, to keep everything else from dying, there's a massive psychic bubble that has been erected to try and like contain all of this, and also conveniently great for a cage match. And the runes that are keeping it up and the psyker focused on it is so bright other people can't look at it as this thing is pushing against its walls, and it's bad. It's very bad looking from the outside. And it's at this point,
I mean, Guilliman's on the ground. That's already not a good look.
Yeah. It's so terrible. And this time, as Mortarion is proselytizing and he can see what, because right now they're in a weird in-between state. Like, this is so strong it's pulled a little bit of everything into the garden, and they're in this in-between where Mortarion can bear witness to his thoughts, what he's doing, and he's mocking Guilliman for running to Dad when he's rendered most low, and also telling him like he's not going to do anything. Go ahead, chat with a corpse. Chat with him. He's dead. He's been dead.
Simply not going to do anything.
And this looks all so pathetic to Mortarion. Until this vision becomes a bit too real.
It's like, hold on. Wait a minute.
And
this feels like reality. What's going on here?
And in that moment, a bright light springs forth, and all the metal rusting in his armor immediately becomes untarnished. You see, I love how horrifying it's described, because this is not like a pretty resurrection. You see like veins shoot up and cover his face before like everything else catches up, and like new blood flows to like... Because frankly, everything's a wash at this point. The Godblight's so bad, like we just have to start over from scratch.
Yeah.
As the Emperor himself resurrects Guilliman and gets rid of the metric ton of raw sewage that was coursing through his veins. And being bathed in this holy light, Mortarion feels the force that's holding him and all of the demons around him weaken as Kugath is banished and the cauldron is broken somewhere far away.
Oh. He just got hit with a bright beam of light and is gone now.
Well, that was somebody else's doing. We'll get to who that was in a moment.
I
right
see.
now, Morty's living his worst nightmare as he's a very strong psyker and he's very aware of what's going on in the warp. He feels a force he has not felt in 10,000 years.
He can feel Dad showing up.
This isn't just Dad showing up. This is his psychic might enveloping Mortarion.
Ah.
And he's halfway in Nurgle's garden. And he can feel that.
Yeah, this is not a good place to feel that.
He is immediately almost reduced to a child recoiling at his father as something speaking out of Guilliman's body lectures him and tells him that despite being a monster, you're still kind of a victim in all this. And maybe you can be saved, but not today. You have someone else to answer to. And a different presence grabs him by the shoulder and yanks him into Nurgle's home and slams the door shut behind him.
I see.
The last we hear is Nurgle is displeased.
Very funny.
Yeah. Not content with just lecturing his kid about how bad he's been this entire time. I mean, the Emperor hasn't been around in quite a while, at least not physically. He decides to lecture all of Chaos and everyone who can hear him about how things have become far too out of balance, and it is about time something tips the scales back. And as he says this, a wave of heat as hot as 1,000 suns begins to burn all of Nurgle's garden. And then Guilliman wakes up in his own body. Back on the planet now. Everything's perfectly normal, and he grows a new gray hair. Because, like, what? How am I not divine? Like, what are we doing?
At this point, yeah, I have to acknowledge
Guilliman does know what death feels like. That was death again, but so much worse. And the only reason he's around is because
Dad picked him up. It's like at that point, he has to acknowledge, I guess Matt was right.
Worse.
Oh.
Remember I mentioned those somewhere far away, the cauldron had shattered?
Yeah, who did that?
Mathieu. I'm going to spare you some details. All you need to know is he's ordained a living saint at around the same time and smites the cauldron, shattering it. Yeah. And as if, by the way, before Guilliman could even debate whether this is true or not, it is immediately true, because when he shatters it, waves of filth hit everything, and like he contracts every disease all at once.
Yeah.
And he's still spared long enough to talk to him one last time.
Funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, I love Mathieu. He's so great. He had a whole crusade at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
Matthew's crusade.
Not within the scope of this episode, but yeah.
We need a Matt episode right now.
Right?
We need a Matt episode immediately.
It is because of him that we know directly what is going on with the Emperor. Because you might be wondering, this is very... If he could do all this, why have things been so bad for so long, you know? We've been suffering for a minute here, man. You know? Why not? And Mathieu gives us a little bit of perspective here, because he says that Chaos's greatest wound to the galaxy, the Great Rift, will also be their undoing, because across the entire galaxy, every single psyker has gotten a whole lot stronger. Across the board, the Eldar are unlocking powers that we've never seen before. All of Chaos across the board is much, much stronger. From Angron now just showing up every
what is it, 8 days, 8 weeks, 8 hours?
To the showing we've seen on the Plague Wars, everything is a lot stronger. And that includes the guy who's been fed, give or take 1,000 psychers every single day for the last 10,000 years. And that has amplified him to the point that we see him in this story. Because before all this, he was already the strongest psyker in all of humanity. We don't know how strong he is at this point.
Yeah.
All we do know is that Great Rift has made him far stronger. And could be the key to saving everything.
Yep.
That is at least what Mathieu posits as he dies. And I will not discuss anymore.
Unfortunate.
Not spoil it.
Unfortunate.
I will say Guilliman gets petty, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, of course he does.
It's a very petty showing.
Because I assume he starts going, he may be divine, but he's not that divine.
Give or take. But that does bring an end to the Plague Wars. And now I have 2 questions. Firstly, for you, what do you think about them?
Disgusting. Gross. Icky.
I tried to spare you from the bulk of the ick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, they're still icky. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I'd summarize this as like, that's my summary.
That's it?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
like,
You know the nuts thing?
what?
A lot was left out. Like, we didn't even cover what Calgar was doing, holding down everything else.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't... There's a scene I do love.
Because I gather that, like, this was kind of like the main campaign. Guilliman was heading off, but there were still...
This was
a bunch of
across
sick
Ultramar,
worlds.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of different Space Marines doing a lot of different things.
Yup.
Like a lot of named people were there that kind of didn't do much in the main thing, but were still holding everything down.
Yeah.
Like my favorite. We're not going to talk about everything Calgar did, but there's this moment where he's dealing with insurgents and who've risen up in the name of Nurgle, and they're causing all this trouble. And when he arrives, he's just like, "Huh. Are you sure these people came from Ultramar?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, no, they've holed up in there. They're our citizens." And he's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." Man, our education system. Save the boys. They're firing all kinds of different, like he begins criticizing effectively everything. Like, they're firing out of pattern. They're not staggering. They're not clustering their shots. These are terrible fortifications. Like, are we sure they're a product of our education system?
Yeah. Do we really do them right?
Is this save the boys? We can do something with them. We can rework them into Ultramarines of some kind. Kill every adult.
Damn.
Did you forget?
This is still 40K.
Regime.
This is still okay. So maybe it's not the modern day U.S., but it is definitely. Yeah.
And so I do love it's. I love whenever you see little bits of personality like that out of them, where it's just like, come on, guys. If you're gonna please put forward a good showing. Like, las guns have a certain rate they can fire at, and we can tell and we can predict that, and we can then cluster our shots and stagger it so the fire never stops and someone's always reloading. Like, yeah,
this is an elementary school class. I swear to God, we taught you this in the 4th grade.
At minimum, how are we supposed to trust you with a bolter if you can't even whatever? Just
A, B, C, D bolter fires every quarter of a second, so make sure you're firing at that rate.
But I do love whenever we see that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's basically what he does for a good chunk of it before being sent elsewhere, because there are other problems throughout the Imperium. Shock and awe.
Yeah. And
that is the end for this campaign, though. Guilliman, stressed. Dad, awake. Mortarion,
correct.
Probably getting spanked. And Typhus, right.
Just correct.
Yeah,
that's it.
Typhus was correct.
Yep.
Ooh, and Kugath, demoted. Rotigus is now his favorite.
I was going to say demoted to death.
No, he's alive.
Oh, I thought he was banished. Oh, no, he was banished.
He was
not killed, banished.
Told you.
Yep.
Banished.
Banished.
So Kugath is now back, and Rotigus has taken his place.
Yeah.
And I do love their interactions, because Rotigus does come and tell him, like, dude, please, you're being insecure. So Rotigus and him, I love their interactions, because there's this, dude, please, just stop, come back. Nurgle's under attack. Dad still likes you. Trust. And Kugath is just so obsessed with doing this, that.
I need to be the best again. I need to be the best again. I swear, I took the best. I need to be the best.
And so now Rotigus, I believe it's Rotigus that's his favorite of all of his sons. And I don't know where Kugath lands in the rankings. Not too low.
Yeah.
Because he's still,
maybe a solid, 3rd
he
or
did
4th.
still make the God Blight. That's gotta be
that's
worth
impressive,
something.
yeah.
And but I'm not sure off the top of the dome. My second question, and I gotta turn over to you guys, because I'm curious, what do you think of this episode? I know you guys have been asking for longer episodes, let's say. And I'm curious to see how you guys think about this. And also, critically, these more focused, this into this, into this, into this, into this kind of thing, instead of the full entirety of one thing, super duper zoomed out.
We haven't yet pulled out the map board for individual battles, but I'm
again, this is another episode where I think a whiteboard would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys think about this because no comment. I'm just curious. Let me know. Let me know. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for being you.